Here we're given an equation and asked to solve. You can see from the choices that there's going to be two answers. This is a quadratic equation. You can tell it's a quadratic equation because the highest exponent you see is a 2. There's a couple of ways you can solve a quadratic. You can solve it using the quadratic formula. You could factor it and then use a zero product property to see what x equals, or you could graph it. If you graph it, this is what you'll see. This is called a parabola, and since there's two solutions, that parabola is going to intersect the x-axis in two places. These are indicating the solutions, the x-intercepts. Now, in order to graph this equation on the state test calculator you have access to, you're going to need to have an x and a y in the equation. Right now, we just have an x. So what we need to do is first move everything over to one side. So let's move this negative 11/4 over to the left side, and we're going to do that by doing the inverse, which is to add 11/4 to both sides. Because negative 11/4 plus 11/4 is 0. So now it's set equal to 0. Let's think about what these x-intercepts are telling us. An x-intercept includes an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. You're going over on the x-axis, so there's always going to be an x-coordinate, but you're not going up or down at all. The y-coordinate for x-intercepts are always going to be 0. So just like with this equation, we're looking for the x you can substitute in so that the answer is 0, so that y is 0. So we're going to change this to a y, and this is what we are going to enter in to our graphing calculator. When you click on calculator on the state test, this is what you'll see. Now you're probably going to need to scroll down. In the left corner, you'll see the option to click to show the keypad. Now we can enter in our equation. So it starts off with x squared, so we're going to type an x. Then to do a square, you can either click this button here to quickly put a 2 on there as an exponent, or you can click this, which says you want to put an exponent in, and then you need to click 2. So let's do that. So we have x squared plus 6x plus 11/4. Remember, with fractions, you're just using the division symbol as your fraction bars. So 11 divided by 4. And then after you're done with your fraction, you need to click next to it so the cursor is no longer down in the denominator. And then write equals y. So this is our parabola. It's nice because if you click on the x-intercepts, it's going to tell you what the coordinates are, so you don't need to estimate that. So let's take this back over to our problem so we can pick out which choice is the answer. So here we're asked what x equals, so we just care about the x-coordinates of these intercepts. So our answer is x equals negative 5.5 and negative 0.5. So we know the answer is not A, and it's not B, but for C and D, we need to convert those fractions to decimals to see which one is the answer. So remember, to change 1/2, for example, to a decimal, you do 1 divided by 2. So we see that these fractions equal 0.5 and 5.5. So now let's convert each of these choices, the fractions, to decimals, paying particular attention to the negative signs. And when we do that, we can see the answer clearly is D.